Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Tovia. I'm going to show you guys how to make this super easy sweet potato pound cake from scratch. I'm going to show you guys everything you need to do step by step. This video is very detailed and I tend to answer a lot of you guys' questions throughout this tutorial. So please pay close attention if you're new to baking, because this video will help you out. Please subscribe to my channel with notifications by hitting the bell. And I upload videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at midnight Eastern Standard Time. And also you'll be able to find the ingredients for today's demonstration in the description box. So we're going to begin with our butter. I'm using unsalted butter that's at room temperature. Try to use good brand butter. My butter is a little too soft, but that's okay. We're just going to work with it. But you definitely don't want your butter to be this soft. And we're going to cream the butter and the sugar together. I'm using granulated sugar. We're going to cream it together until it's light and fluffy. It's going to take about 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to do this on about medium-high speed. I'm going to cream this together for about 8 minutes. After about 4 minutes, I'm going to stop the machine and give it a scrape. Leftover sweet potatoes that I have from a sweet potato pie that I made. And if you want to see that recipe, please check the description box as well as the iCard in the top of the video. So I'm putting it in my hand blender here, and I'm going to attach my hand wand to it. And if you want to find out about this Sonavo hand blender, check the description box. So I'm just going to puree the potatoes to make sure it's really smooth. If you don't have a hand blender, you can definitely just mash it by. It's been about 4 minutes. I'm going to just stop the machine. I'm going to tilt the head back. I'm going to give everything a scrape. It's good to scrape. Unless you're using a scraper attachment, then you don't have to worry about scraping. I'm going to finish creaming it for the remainder of time. So I'm going to turn the machine off, give everything a scrape, and then we're going to add the eggs one at a time, beating well after each addition. Eggs are at room temp. You don't want to use cold ingredients when baking a cake. I'm going to begin on low here. I'm going to add one of the eggs, and I'm going to turn the machine up a bit. Beat it about 20 to 30 seconds after each addition. And then we're going to repeat this process until we have all the eggs added. So remember, add the eggs one at a time. Don't rush it. So I have my third egg added here. So what I'm going to do is stop the machine. I'm going to give the machine a scrape. Make sure you always scrape. Make sure everything is well incorporated that way. And with such a large batter that we're making here, you definitely don't want to mess it up. So now I'm going to add the remaining 3 eggs one at a time. Remember to beat well after each addition. Okay, I've had all my eggs added. I don't know if you can hear that slapping sound of the batter. That's a good indication that everything is properly mixed. And look at it, it's beautiful. I'm going to give everything another scrape. And after scraping, we're going to slowly add our sweet potatoes. Before we do that, we're going to add our flavorings. So I'm going to add here cinnamon, 5 spice powder. If you don't like 5 spice powder, just use nutmeg in place. I'm gonna give that a mix. And then I'm going to slowly add my mashed sweet potatoes. And these are the potatoes here that I pureed. I'm gonna slowly add it. I'm gonna add just half of it. Gonna mix it in and then add the other half. As soon as you see it mixed, that's it. This prevents the batter from being weighed down. I have my milk here on the side, as you can see, and I'm going to add my vanilla to the milk. And have everything mixed. I'm going to stop the machine. Now, here I have my cake flour. It's my cake flour here. And I'm going to sift in the baking powder, baking soda, and salt. We're sifting that in to avoid clumps, so no one bites into clumps like this. So if you get those clumps, just press it through. I'm gonna just give everything a mix together. I'll just use my fingertips. We're going to alternatively add the flour and the milk. So we're going to begin by adding just a third of the flour. And then after adding a third of the flour, turn the machine on, mix it until the flour just begins to disappear. And I'm using cake flour. Do not use anything besides cake flour because the proteins are low in the cake flour and your cake will not end up being tough. So I'm gonna pour in half of this milk and vanilla flavoring. So remember we added the vanilla flavoring to the milk. As soon as that milk dissolves, I'm going to stop the machine, add half of the remaining flour, give it a mix, just until the flour begins to disappear. Then add the remaining milk, vanilla mixture. And then I'm going to add some maple syrup. Then we're going to add the remaining cake flour. Okay, got everything mixed in. I'm going to stop the machine. So, take the pedal off. And take the bowl off the machine here. And we're going to give everything a scrape. If there's any raw bits of flour, this is the purpose. Just to make sure there's nothing in the bottom of the bowl. So give everything a good scrape. Don't worry if there's a little bit of flour visible because we don't want to overwork the batter, but we definitely don't want to have large clumps of flour in the batter. You don't have anything that's sunk at the bottom that's not mixed in thoroughly. Now see, if you do all this mixing by hand with all-purpose flour, it's going to be tough. But if you can't find cake flour, it's better to use bleached all-purpose flour because it was chemically changed and the chemicals in it did weaken the proteins in the flour a little bit. So if you can't find cake flour, you can use all-purpose flour, but make sure it's bleached. I'm pouring this into my bundt pan that I sprayed with baking spray that had flour in it. My oven is preheated at 375°F. This is going to bake for about 50 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. I am not going to open my oven until exactly 45 minutes. And that way we'll know how much longer. So don't beat the don't beat the pan on the counter because you don't want to knock out any air. If you have to smooth it, just use your spatula like I am and smooth it. If there's any cake batter here in the tube, just wipe it off. So into the oven it goes, and we'll be back once it's done. Here's the sweet potato pound cake. It took 58 minutes for it to completely cook. Now you see this top part up here? If you see that it's doughy, just continue to bake it. If this part appears to be brown, but this part is doughy, just be patient with it and let it bake. Okay. If you're not sure that your oven is the correct temperature, if you don't have an oven thermometer, bake it about 10-15 degrees lower, so that way you ensure that you have a nice cake. So we're gonna let this cool completely, sit it on a wire rack, and then I'm gonna cover this, and tomorrow we're gonna make the glaze. So this is gonna be our glaze, and this is gonna be our brown sugar cinnamon glaze. Except this version doesn't require being on the stove. So keep in mind, brown sugar is nothing but molasses and sugar. Powdered sugar is basically super fine sugar that's been processed until it's very fine, and it has cornstarch added to it. So I've just added my milk. You can use 2% milk or whole milk. I'm using 2% milk. I'm just whisking the milk and sugar together until it's smooth. So what I'm going to add to this is vanilla, cinnamon, and then I'm going to add some molasses, and this is what turns it into the brown sugar. And I'm gonna get asked a few questions. Can you use granulated sugar? Can you use caster sugar? Can you use superfine sugar? No, you cannot. It has to be icing sugar, or in other countries it's known as confectionery sugar. Confectionery, icing sugar, powdered sugar, confectioners, they're all the same. You traditionally would. So I'm gonna sift in some more powdered sugar. I'm not going to sift this all in. I'm just going to sift it until it's thick. I want it to be slightly thicker than a pancake batter. There's no particular measurements except for the main flavor components. But I'll give you the approximates of the sugars, and you really have to adjust it. If your end product becomes a little too runny, just add a little bit more powdered sugar to it. Becomes a little bit too thick, just add some more milk. When you add the milk, you add like a teaspoon at a time, because powdered sugar acts as a sponge of a sort. Sifting in the powdered sugar helps you avoid clumps. I'm going to add a little bit more molasses because I want it to be slightly darker, because I want it to look like dark brown sugar. So dark brown sugar has more molasses, light brown has less molasses. So if you want dark brown sugar flavor, just add more molasses. Light brown, less molasses. So we're about medium dark brown. This is what I want. I have my pound cake here that I'm going to just invert here into my wire rack that has a sheet pan under. Oh wow. See how the cake just came out? It actually came out perfect. With no force at all. So what I'm going to do is take my whisk and just drizzle this glaze on. So you have a perfect drizzle pattern. Okay, so this glaze will harden over time, so I'm going to just let this sit for about 30 minutes uncovered, and this will harden. It's not going to get super hard because I didn't have it super thick, but the thicker it is, the harder it will turn out to be. So here is our sweet potato pound cake, and I'm going to slice into it so you all can see what it looks like on the inside. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and when you do, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of my uploads on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I'm going to cut a nice size slice here. I myself don't want a large slice, but I do want to show you the inside of this beautiful cake. And see how moist this is? It's not dry at all. Beautiful crumb. We're gonna give this a taste. The glaze on it, actually, let's show you the glaze. It's hardened. Here's the cake. Absolutely divine. The glaze on it is amazing. So guys, there you have it. And I'm gonna cut another piece here so you guys can see the inside of it very well. You can cut a larger section out. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share this video as much as you can, and please leave your comments or requests down below. I really appreciate all of you guys' support. Live and be well as we can to love one another. Thanks for watching.